With version 1.1 of the Liferay IDE, there are two ways that you can share projects with other developers. The first way is actually directly sharing each plugin project separately. I've covered that in another video. In this video, I'm going to be covering method 2, which is actually sharing the entire plugins SDK folder structure. Now you can see the step-by-step guide is actually posted on the Liferay wiki page, but in this video I just want to demonstrate the steps for you, and you can just watch me walk through them. So the first thing is the first developer creates the project that's going to contain the shared plugins SDK, and then inside the zip file of Liferay plugins SDK, you can see here's all the files. I'll just paste this into this new project. Before we do anything else, I'll go ahead and commit this to my source control. And in this demo, I'm actually going to be using SVN repository, and the connector I'm using is the Subversive connector. Simply check that in. Let me commit it. And now that I actually have this structure committed, while that's committing, I'm going to go ahead and configure my Liferay IDE installed SDK preferences, because before I can create any new projects, I need to actually reference this SDK that's inside my workspace. So I'll simply add a reference to this. So there it is, plugins SDK. Now we can see the plugins SDK has been checked in. Now let me go ahead and create a new test project to share. Now, a couple of things to point out. One, here is my actual top-level shared project. You can see it here in the Package Explorer. But one thing to notice is that while it shows it here, the physical files actually also exist over in this structure, because you know that new projects are created underneath their accompanying type. So all portlets are in the portlets folder, all hooks will be in the hooks folder. So you can see that this same project that I see here in the Explorer is also here under the portlets folder. So now that I've got it, now that I've got this project available, I can do my normal development, and then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and right click this, refresh it, so make sure all the files are up to date. Then I'll just go ahead and try to commit this to the repository. So you can see in my synchronization view that I've got one new project's been added. So let me commit that. Okay, so that's from the perspective of the first developer. So now let's go ahead and switch to our second workspace. So now we can kind of simulate what it would look like for the next developer that's going to be using these projects with you. So here's a brand new workspace. The first thing I need to do is make sure that I have a Liferay server runtime available. Here you can see I have one called Liferay version 6, which is the default name. So you'll need to make sure that, because the previous project that was checked in, it had exactly the same name for the runtime environment. You need to make sure your names are correct. If not, the project will have some errors when you first check it out. So now let's go ahead and switch to our repository view. We can see right here, here's the plugins SDK that in the previous workspace we actually checked in. So in this workspace, all we have to simply do is right click and check out. When that finishes checking out, we should see that project available in our Explorer. Okay, so the plugins SDK has been pulled down. We can see that we do have the one shared portlet project that's in there, but it's not an actual visible project in our Explorer yet. We'll do that in just a second. First, let's configure our SDK. Well, runtime is set, but let's configure the SDK. Remove that one. That was from a previous recording. Now let's go in here and find that. We're in our second workspace, so here's plugins SDK. So we have our installed SDK, we have our runtimes, we have everything that we need to actually pull the project in. So the project is actually located here, but it doesn't look like a project yet in the Explorer. This Eclipse instance doesn't know about it yet, so we can actually just import that project using the normal file import wizard. So file, import, general, and then existing projects into Workspace. And then for the root directory, we'll just select the portlets parent directory. So here's our workspace, here's our plugins SDK, and there's the project we want to import. So I'll just click on its parent, and then we should see that project show up here, and we just make sure it's checked and hit finish. Okay, so it brought the project in, and it's got the runtime properly configured, and it's got the class path, the plugin API container, and everything builds and compiles correctly. And you can see that it actually does show up as this project is shared in the metadata view there. So then you're free to make changes, and any changes you make should be seen by both developers.